Welcome. Welcome to Nonprofit Cloud. What else is needed from Nonprofit Cloud? Section 6. And I'm actually kind of excited to talk about this today because it's kind of the icing on the cake for most of us for things. Kathy and I are leading today again, and Kathy's going to be out. We'll all be out next week, right? So we won't have a meeting next week on the day after Boxing Day, and the day after my husband's birthday. But we will be back in the first week of January. So just to let you know that. Kathy, are you going to have office hours this week?
Yes.
Yes. But so not a lot of folks have been taking advantage of office hours. We want to be cognizant of your time and Kathy's time. Of course, Kathy can do other things while she's sitting there waiting for anybody to show up. But, and I really think that once we get into actually doing the implementation of Nonprofit Success Pack, you all may need that more. But let us know how you're feeling about office hours. You know, is it just too much time in the day? You know, how can we make it more helpful? And don't forget the Slack channel. You can always ask questions there. Kathy and I both pretty much live on Slack. So, you know, anytime you might have a question. Kathy's taking off next week and the first week of January, but I am not. So, although I may not be as fast next week, I will be, you know, on Slack and available if you need me. And don't forget that the homework and the video is always on our site as well. So today, we want to talk about several things. You know, Nonprofit Cloud is designed to help in a bunch of different nonprofits, and no two nonprofits are exactly alike. They're all like snowflakes. So we've looked at the big three functionality areas. So we've looked at fundraising, we've looked at program management, and we looked at volunteering. But wait, there's more. So a large majority of the nonprofits that use NPSP are actually grant-making foundations. Consequently, grant making and grants management is definitely a needed addition. Nonprofits and other charities in the U.S. and across the world are closely regulated by government entities such as the IRS. There are a million rules, you know that, around what nonprofits can and cannot do. But we're going to look at some ways to extend the functionality of the fundraising and also a product for accounting that helps sync and report accurately and appropriately, so that you've got that information for the IRS and for founders or stakeholders. Then that will wrap up section 1 with a pretty bow just in time for the holidays. So grant making and grants management, there are over 1.5 million registered nonprofits just in the US. And thousands of those are actually grant making foundations. They're private family foundations, they're publicly funded foundations. Some address one specific area of need or impact, and others, you know, support a wide variety of causes. So you can imagine how many different thoughts and processes go into what's needed for grant making. Even scholarships are considered grant making, right? With from higher ed and those scholarships you may get. So none of these are particularly or necessarily using Salesforce or Nonprofit Cloud, but they're examples. So things like the Pew Trust, United Way, different groups that make grants, that give scholarships. And then, of course, the Open Source Commons outbound funds, and we're going to talk about that today as well. In fact, the outbound funds, the core managed package, and the NPSP extension has been designed to be a solid, expandable foundation for managing outbound grants, scholarships, internal programmatic funding requests. There are a lot of different use cases. Any nonprofit that manages outgoing funds, such as grants and scholarships, understands how many moving parts are involved. For example, a local school foundation is a great example. They request information from teachers who are looking for small classroom grants for specific projects, and they administer those scholarships. How do you do that in the Nonprofit Cloud? And then grants management, you see with the little dollar sign down there, is an extension of the program that Salesforce itself sells. And we'll talk about that as well. So the outbound funds module helps organizations manage and track funding requests and outgoing funds by adding a new layer of custom objects and fields that work in conjunction with Salesforce and in both the Nonprofit Success Pack and the education data architecture environments. So obviously it works for household models or for the EDA environment. The added custom objects are listed in green. I hope this is large enough that you can see it, but they're pretty simple. So there's the funding program, the funding request role, the review, the requirement, the disbursement, plus the GAU expenditure, which is actually a junction object to connect to a general accounting unit or GAU in Nonprofit Success Pack to track the appropriate disbursement allocation. So really a pretty simple and easy to understand application that they've got going here. And it was actually, Outbound Funds module was actually created in the open source sprints by folks that are using Nonprofit Success Pack, using Nonprofit Cloud, working in foundations, working in outbound funds. So it was a well thought out and well planned opportunity to create something for the community. So what you see here is actually a page in Salesforce that you might have set up to see what funds are available and see what's going on. In this case, a foundation has funds available for the impact area of childhood hunger. And the foundation invites a nonprofit to apply for funds to buy snacks for an after-school program. The status in this screenshot shows that the nonprofit's been invited but has not replied yet. But notice that the foundation can track reviews when the nonprofits apply, the amount dispersed, and the requirements of the grant. So they've got all these tabs, all this information right there at their fingertips to work with. Grants management is the paid offering from Salesforce to extend the capabilities of that outbound funds module with an additional custom object and an action plan template, an action plan and document checklist objects from the Salesforce platform. So the additional custom object used by grants management is the verification check object. The verification check object allows you to track documents needed, requested, and received for an organization that is requesting funding. So if the grant making process is particularly complex, which sometimes they can be incredibly complex, or if information is compiled over a long period of time, the verification checklist that comes with this paid portion of grants management helps consistently manage the process. So extended capabilities for fundraising and accounting. Again, you'll notice the dollar signs because I always try to denote when something is a paid product. It can be confusing sometimes for nonprofits, for consultants, for their customers, as to whether it is a free product that they may be paying you to implement for them, or whether it is a paid product from Salesforce, and then they still probably have to pay you to implement it. But so I try, if it's a paid product from Salesforce, if there's going to be a charge from Salesforce, then I try to include that dollar sign here for you. So we mentioned both of these offerings early on, but we want to talk about them just a little bit and where they fit. So Elevate is the payment and fundraising connected to your Stripe account for payments in the US. It has out-of-the-box donation forms called giving pages and is designed for mobile-first applications. It's currently only available in the US. And it also, depending on how you use it and implement it, will require Experience Cloud pages and licenses to run. A key component of Elevate is the ability to create a donor history for your donors to be able to see. And it's a great fundraising encouragement. one of the drawbacks, of course, is that it is only currently available for US nonprofits. The other piece of the puzzle is the accounting subledger. And this is a great product that prepares your fundraising information for your accounting system. It serves as a bridge, and it saves fundraising and finance data significant budget and time on reconciling tasks, right? By connecting systems to ensure a single source of truth for revenue and payment data. If you think about it, most nonprofits have QuickBooks or some back end. It may even be just a hand done ledger sheet, right? That they keep track of everything. But accounting subledger takes all that data from the Nonprofit Success Pack, where it is entered when you submit a donation, when you key a donation in, and puts it in a format that helps you better report, better share that data with something like QuickBooks, or even with a standard accounting system that someone's using. So again, a paid product, but one that can be incredibly helpful in the long run. Additional extended capabilities for fundraising and accounting are the marketing automation. And this has morphed and changed frequently. The names have changed to protect the guilty. The you know that what used to be par dreaming is now mar dreaming, because it's all Marketing Cloud. There's Marketing Cloud for nonprofits specifically, which is basically a rebranding of Marketing Cloud. But the important thing to know about what all of these things do is that there is B2B marketing automation, right? Business to business. B2C marketing automation, which is business to consumer, which is what most nonprofits are generally engaged in, right? Usually you are, the majority of funding is individuals. Small business marketing automation, and then also mobile marketing automation. 80% of transactions are done these days on mobile phones. So the B2C marketing automation provides all the tools, including building personalized journeys for constituents, integration with Google Analytics, and all the true business to consumer, or in this case, nonprofit to constituent, moves management that is available. It integrates with Elevate. When you're using it in the nonprofit cloud system, you can tie it into the levels and engagement plans that are available there. So all of it works together to further your fundraising capabilities. So looking at what we've done so far, just take a quick look back. We have started on this first process of looking at what is available, what we can recommend, thinking about the use cases before we ever get into how to actually implement or build anything. And I hope that's really what you all have done. So fundraising, program management with Volunteers for Salesforce, the Nonprofit Success Pack itself, plus its reports and dashboards, Nonprofit Cloud case management, Tableau, grant making and grants management, Elevate, accounting subledger, marketing engagement. And those are 9 product areas that provide specific functionality for what we're doing, right? So what's next, right? We've explored all those options that exist to help nonprofits automate their work in Salesforce. And that actually comes under the domain expertise that counts for 20% of the nonprofit cloud consultant exam. Next time we meet in January, we are going to begin to learn about change management, governance, and tools for organizational alignment. And these are critical pieces of the Nonprofit Cloud Consultant certification. And this section on implementation strategies and best practices, which makes up 21% of the total questions. personally, change management is one of my very favorite parts of what we do. And this is something that you'll want to begin to consider and think about. Change is difficult for every organization. Sometimes small changes can be some of the biggest challenges, but we're going to look at how we can help our organizations or our customers work through those change management pieces in the next section. Kathy has diligently put in resources and trailhead badges for us. And Thursday, December 22nd, 1 p.m. Eastern time for the next office hours. So we will not meet again until January 3rd. Is that correct, Kathy? And I've got the date
Yep.
right. Kathy won't be here, but I will, and we'll get started on change management. And we will meet on the 3rd.